Today our class is going to be on electric charges. Now, this topic is more related to the concept of electrostatics. Electrostatics, and if you check this electrostatics very well, it's from the word electro, which has to do with charges, electro, with charges. Then statics has to relate with static. And when something is static, it means that that thing is not moving. It means that that thing is at rest. So the concept of electrostatics has to do with concept or the study of charges at rest. Charges at rest, that is charges that are not moving. Now, under this concept of charges at rest, we have to understand that there are two types of charges. We have the positive charge, and we have the negative charge. Now, the positive charge is indicated as this, negative charge is indicated as this. Now, we also need to understand that there is a concept which is called a concept of static electricity. Concept of static electricity has to do with the fact that we have that like charges they repel. Like charges repel. That is, if you put plus together or minus together, they tend to repel each other. But unlike charges, negative positive or positive negative, they tend to attract each other. You understand? That's what concept of static electricity states. And in this aspect, I will also say that we have the like charges. I say we have the like charges, we have the unlike charges. Now, you will also understand that we have what we call field, and a field is an area or region where electrons or electricity is felt. So that environment where electricity is felt is usually known as a field. You understand? A field is that place where electricity is felt. Now, you will observe that if, for example, now you have a metal here, let's say a metal here, and now we rub that metal with 4 is like cotton. We rub it on it. We rub it consistently on it. You observe that this 4 now possesses some of the charges that this metal possesses. As a result of the charged material that the 4 was rubbed with, you observe that this 4 now begins to have these charges that this material now possesses. Now, this material can be called ebonite. Ebonite is an insulator. But when ebonite is charged, and when 4 is rubbed against ebonite, you observe that the 4 now possesses the charge that this ebonite rod has. Now, another aspect you also need to understand is that there are certain materials called conductors. Now, conductors are materials that allow electrons or electricity to pass through them easily. The materials that allow electricity to pass through them easily. Examples are metals. So metals, we can say all metals, although we know that there are going to be some exceptions, but all metals and graphite, acids, salt solutions, examples of that, conductors. Then insulators are materials that do not allow electrons or electricity to pass through them easily, and then they include we can say plastic, we can say ebonite, we can say ceramics and all that. All these are examples of insulators. So all these ones are materials that do not allow electricity to or electric charges to pass through them. So these materials are known as insulators. Now, one core thing you need to understand is that if we have a glass material now, and you rub this glass material with silk is like a cloth material. Let's say this is glass now, and you rub this silk against this glass material, you observe that this silk will possess some form of positive charges. You observe that positive charges exist in this aspect. Then when we rub, like I said, ebonite with 4, you observe that this 4 now possesses some form of negative charges. So when you rub silk with glass, you observe that there are positive charges. Then when you rub ebonite, a charged ebonite rod with 4, you observe that negative charges are generated. So this one generates negative charges, while this glass and silk generates positive charges. That is something that you also need to understand. Now, if you really look into what I just said now, you will observe that we have been talking about robbing and robbing and robbing and robbing. Robbing this material with this, robbing that material with that, and all that. That means what we are actually focused on, or what we are actually talking about, is the concept of friction. So one way, there are so many ways of producing charges. So ways of producing charges, there are so many ways of producing charges. So one of them, producing charges, one of them is by friction, the next one is by contact, and the next one is by electrostatic induction.